We're going to talk with Nicole. Nicole, it's so good to see you. Every year you come.
Every year.
And you try and get people to stop smoking.
Yeah,
Why should they stop smoking?
Oh, and we probably need about 5 days of a show in order to talk about
Let me get a glass of wine. I'm sitting back.
Get comfortable. So, I mean, it's certainly one of those things. Around this time of year, we're getting in preparation for the Great American Smokeout. So it's just trying to plant that seed for people, whether you smoke a few cigarettes a day or whether you smoke, half a pack a day, a pack a day, two
Well,
packs.
a pack is supposed to be a heavy smoker, right? 20 cigarettes a day is a heavy smoker, they say.
Yeah, I mean, once you get into a pack and a half, then we
Yeah.
start leading into being a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
But it's really about making those baby steps, usually I tell patients. It's just trying, starting those little small attempts in terms
Cut
of
back a little bit.
decreasing the amount of cigarettes, exactly, cutting back. The Great American Smokeout, one of the big things and focuses for that is really just to trial it for the day. See how you do in terms of adjusting to cravings. And again, it's starting to kind of plant that seed. It is so important, certainly from a health perspective, a cosmetic perspective, but a laundry list, even getting into public health considerations.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there's certainly a number of different
There's so many
focuses.
diseases that are kind of, they're exacerbated by smoking.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think of some of our major disease states, hypertension, so high blood pressure, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol, certainly we can go on and on in terms
How about
of
cancer?
Absolutely. Cancer, cardiovascular disease, asthma, COPD.
Diabetes is really big with, you tell people they're a diabetic, you need to quit smoking. And it's like, really? I don't know. I'm not eating them,
Exactly. And it's one of those things where I think if you think about all the major disease states, every single one of them, one of the common threads that we try to tell patients as a clinician is you need to quit smoking. So it's so important. It has such significant beneficial health effects associated with
cosmetics. Do we have a photo to look at here?
I think we do, actually.
Let's
so
take a
going
look at
back in
that.
the archives, we do have a photo.
Take a look at that photo that they're going to be putting up, I think, pretty quick. And it's a pair of twins, and they did a study, and these twins, one smoked. Oh, can you guess which one smoked?
I think it's the one on the left.
You think so?
I believe so.
Yeah. And basically, that was the main difference. And of course, tanning, of course, can also ruin your skin, but smoking especially.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think this really, this one picture really just kind of drives home the message. Every smoker will start for a different reason, and everyone's going to quit for a different reason. So I think it's very important when talking to patients that you really try to provide as much information and see where that light bulb, when that patient has that light bulb moment.
What triggers
Health
it?
reasons,
Yeah.
Exactly. Health reasons may not get every smoker to quit. I think we know that.
Because they're not sick right now.
Exactly.
And that's what
sometimes
happens with 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds.
It's
They're
the
invincible.
I'm visible. Exactly. I'm invisible. It's not
And I'm
going to
always
happen
gonna be
to me. Exactly. Or I can quit any time. And it's not, we certainly have enough evidence and literature really to show that, it's an addiction, and it's a very difficult addiction.
Well, we're also looking at a physical and a psychological addiction.
Exactly.
It's like I eat a meal and right after that I smoke a cigarette.
Yes, when we really think about tobacco dependence, tobacco use, there's three components to it. There's the physical piece, that physical addiction. There's the psychological piece.
Someone said to me, what do you do with your hands if you don't smoke? I said, they just hang at the end of my wrists.
But it's true, though, and there was actually a couple kind of along that same lines. There were a couple of different commercials, direct-to-consumer advertising from the New York State Quit line, and it was really just kind of overemphasizing the point of somebody that was in a coffee shop trying to drink a cup of coffee, and they had recently quit smoking, and they were throwing the cup of coffee in their mouth and put like 10 napkins on top of their face. They weren't sure how to do something as basic as that. But it really goes to highlight, again, the physical piece, the psychological, and the habit.
Yeah.
And so many patients really have to retrain themselves to be a non-smoker for some of those basic day-to-day activities because they've been doing it as a smoker.
Yeah.
That cigarette has been a part of what they've done.
Yeah, it's their identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it really is kind of retraining that. But certainly from a health, from a benefit perspective, it's one of the best things that you can do in terms of, again, kind of minimizing exacerbation of current diseases or even future.
Right.
So it's definitely a helpful thing, but that picture, I think, kind of highlights
it kind of brings it home.
Another
dimension.
You know, exactly, another component that may get a patient interested in wanting to quit smoking. So
Right.
if talking about,
care about
health,
how you look, maybe that's
and it's really, you know, you talk about health benefits, you can talk about cosmetic benefits, you can talk about the cost, we can get into the public health issues, you know, trying to make your home a smoke-free home, making your car smoke-free. Yeah,
There's nothing worse than lighting a scented candle on top of smoke. I mean, it's just like it does not work. Believe me, if you think it works, it does not work.
Doesn't really mesh.
Right. We want to talk about the college because the college is the students are very active.
The students.
And they're going to be going to Crossgates, is that correct?
Absolutely. So in association and in collaboration with Great American Smokeout and the American Cancer Society, we're actually doing some on-campus and off-campus events. So a couple of our student-run organizations, myself included, will be at Crossgates this Saturday, November 10th, promoting Great American Smokeout, trying to just provide some education and helping people with some resources. If they're thinking about quitting or if you know somebody that's just starting to think about it. And then we're going to be doing some on-campus events next Thursday on November 15th on Great American Smokeout Day. Again, just trying to promote and provide some resources.
I hope the students all get the message, you know.
I hope so, but it's a difficult process, but it's doable.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes, on average, 7, 8, 9 attempts. But one thing I always like to tell patients is it's about baby steps. And every attempt, even if it doesn't quite work, we can learn from that and get you back on track. And that's the most important thing, is just continuing to try.
And New York also has a program, don't they? You could go to their website.
New York State Quit Line for a number of years has really been quite active, quite supportive for patients within New York State in terms of providing resources, providing medications, again on a short-term basis, but they are able to get people started. There's also a number of different resources. Click to Quit is a great kind of online tool that patients can utilize as well. So sometimes you may not have support at home, so sometimes you need to kind of reach out and you need some external support.
What about these electronic cigarettes? Are they anything? Or I mean, I see them advertised. Having never been a smoker, I don't know what an electronic cigarette is.
So the electronic cigarettes, the real big issue, there's two issues. Number one is the fact that they're not standardized, and what I mean by that is we don't know from one brand that's making an electronic cigarette to another that it's actually the same ingredients, the same components. The second issue is the fact that there really isn't any oversight to these products. So many of them actually do have carcinogenic agents.
They put something in it?
Exactly.
Okay. I thought
so
it was just like it blew
some
up.
are water vapor alone,
Yeah.
and some are kind of a nicotine flavored water vapor.
Okay.
And what they have found, where they're starting to kind of collect information on, is that there may be these carcinogenic agents, cancer-causing agents.
Anything
that
you
we
pull into your
still
lungs is just not good.
Yeah, and so some of the same types of issues or ingredients that are causing some of the ill effects in cigarettes, we're now starting to find these cancer-causing agents in some of the electronic cigarettes. And due to the lack of standardization, it makes it very difficult to say, all electronic or e-cigarettes would be appropriate. So at this point, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, does not recommend them. The New York State Quit Line has kind of taken a position of not recommending them. And we really do try to promote our patients utilizing one of our FDA approved options, that we have some efficacy, we have some effectiveness data, we have some safety information to provide to patients.
So you've got some tools out there if you want to learn how to quit smoking.
Absolutely.
You're going to find out and stop over to Crossgates, and maybe you'll get a little bit of background on it, right? Nicole, always a pleasure to have you. We'll see you next year.
Thank you.
Try and get those people to quit smoking.